Okay, everybody, welcome to yet another daily dose of swipe. Today, I have a good treat for you. $1.6 million spent on a VSL. This one, we're gonna break that down into shreds and see what psychological principles the copywriter or let's say the marketer used uh, for this specific VSL. I went through Dr. Pompa, like he's Dr. Pompa. I went through his organic funnel. I saw that all of his traffic was being pushed to this page. It's like it's a different page, but with it's the same page, but just the background is different. It's like a separate one. I feel like they ran ads, right? They scripted out the VSL, they ran ads, they tested it and tried like scaled it over a month because you can see it was started on October. Probably this is October, right? Or is this May? I'm not quite sure. I don't know. That's dumb of me. Okay, the SEO. This is like the organic for the Google search engine optimization, so that you land higher, on the so you rank higher on the Google search tabs. Wait a second, I have some. Okay, let's continue the stuff. Okay, where was I? Yeah, so I believe they were okay, so this is like SEO optimized as well. Looks like it. I don't know if it is or not. They spent 1.6 million on it. Probably got good ROAS. Okay, so this is like an ad spend. Now, given that this is an ad spend, they probably ran it on cold traffic, saw that there was like this, found out the proof of concept, knew that this VSL worked, and started directing all of his organic traffic to the VSL itself as well. Because I went through his socials, I saw that all of it was linked. What the fuck? Okay, we got some noise in the house disturbing the whole thing. Yeah, where was I? Yeah, the organic traffic. Could have been the case, could have been it could have been otherwise, but I don't think the likelihood of that happening is the likelihood of, them testing it for organic traffic and then starting to do it for the, continuing for the, then or like hopping over to the ads, running it to cold traffic. I don't think they did that. Probably it was the other way around. They ran ads and then started directing the organic traffic to the page as well. Um, Now look at this, like it's completely compliant in my opinion. The surprising answer to fatigue, brain fog, anxiety, sleep issues, and more. Dr. Daniel Pompa's new viral online training reviews. Nothing more fancy. The surprising answer to fatigue, brain fog, anxiety, sleep issues, and more. Perfectly compliant for an ad to scale at this level of spend. By the way, you can go sign up to his. Did I mention that you can go sign up to his newsletter, make wi-fi bread.com, and show him some love for this swipe, for giving me access to this VSL, or less, at least like letting me break it down and show the details from swipe builder. We're gonna break down the VSL in a second. Should I like I'm kind of unsure what I should do for adding the PDF to the uh, our daily. I'm sorry, the what was it, the Google Drive. Yeah, I don't know what I should do because this video is gonna be get taken down in the future. Anyways, I have downloaded it. You can go ahead and maybe like download it or something. I'm not gonna share the link because I might face some copywriting issues from the brand or something like that. It might be, it might not be, but all in all, yeah, this is the. So like one thing about this is that we should um like break down stuff that actually have some form of proof of concept, meaning like people, there's a reason like they spend 1.6 mil on this, right? They wouldn't just spend it like, oh, like, yeah, it looks like it works, I might just throw my money into it. No, it does not work like that, right? They had a specific ROI on this. on this VSL. That is the sole reason they spend a lot of money on this. So I believe breaking down promos like this one is gonna be much more helpful for us rather than doing like random subject line. I'm sorry, email breakdowns. Well, which is good, yeah, which does helps us do the bare minimum. Yesterday, I was not able to upload. By the way, sometimes I just miss. Like never made it official to upload these videos daily. It was like yeah, I have to do it one like daily, but I did not like force myself, and given that I did not do that, I did not beat myself up to it because as why I missed yesterday. So now I'm here. This VSL is probably gonna take a lot of our time, and we're gonna break it down to shreds probably. Like I feel like I should like rather copy the transcript to a separate Google Doc and break down. That way you can have like access to the swipe file. Like anybody like who's watching in the future could have access to the swipe file. Should I do that? Might be worth testing. Oh yeah, this way it's gonna be easy to identify if we just have like a 1.6 mil VSL.
Welcome.
Okay, so I feel like we should start the breakdown. I don't think we need this page specifically, or do we? I don't think we do. Nah, we don't. I hope you saw the data. If not, you can rewind the video and whatnot. Let's break down the VSL itself. I hope you all can hear the audio. It was not the issue, not an issue like in the past videos. I hope it's probably not this time as well. Okay, before we break it down any further, let's talk about the environment of the whole thing. Now, Dr. Pompa, of course, probably who has been like a good authority in this space for a long time. From what I knew, I just googled him. He's been in the space for 20 years. Has good amount of organic following as well. 1.6 mil on Twitter. I'm sorry, Instagram, and he has good amount of following on other social media platforms like other as well, like YouTube, other stuff. Now probably he's like an established authority in this space, and there was a reason like these stuff work, right? You can just pick a random guy out of the blue and just get him to the moon. It's hard. It's not impossible, yes, but it's harder. But working with a guy who's been in the space for a long time and has like a positive association, like people take him as a positive thought leader, or let's just say a leader in general, then it's going to be very easy to print off the campaigns when you work with people like them. That's the environment of the whole thing. As for the person who actually lands into this, we're going to break down the environment of the thing in a second as we like go through the VSL, because as I said, this is a VSL that went out to cold traffic. Now cold traffic meaning you do not know about him anyways. So if this is being directed to any somebody who does not know about him, why not just assume that I don't know about him either, right? It's going to be easier for me to break it down from a customer's perspective, and it's going to be easier for me to break it down from a marketer's perspective as well. I feel like the ad they ran was based on a retargeting was based on a re I'm sorry, they used leveraged his organic audience as a uh, lookalike audience. They leveraged his pre-existing organic audience, and you use them as a lookalike audience for the ads, for the retargeting ads, which is what it's called. Could be the case, could not be the case as well. Again, as I said, like everything I say, you should need to take it with a grain of salt. Now let's break down the actual VSL. Let's talk first. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the environment throughout the VSL. Next is we're gonna talk about the market sophistication, market awareness, all that stuff. But we can't do that right now because, as I said, this I do not know about this guy. The market sophistication and market awareness breakdowns I do like I've done in my past videos. Those are for guys those are for folks that I personally consume, like whose content I personally consume and know about. If I do not know about it, I can talk about the market sophistication and awareness in their specific business and how they're overcoming it, because it's just hard. So I can only do that via sales assets like these one, or let's say sales pages or other sales assets like I don't know webinars and stuff like that. So it's I'm gonna do that, but I'm gonna do that throughout the video. I'm gonna talk about it throughout the video. Enough yapping. Let's just go through it. Let's just talk about it. Let's just get to the sauce. Dr. Daniel Pompa's new viral. Okay, Dr. Daniel Pompa's probably means like the people know about, like this is like I feel like this is like a retargeting ads. Dr. Daniel Pompa's, they could have used something else like the world's number one health coach reveals a new viral online training. Or let's say world number one health coaches new viral online. They could have used that, but they used Dr. Daniel Pompa. Why was that? Because they're probably targeting the people who already know about Daniel Pompa. The surprising answer to fatigue. The surprising answer, like, yeah, it's not it's not the usual, it's out of the place, it's something unique, it's surprising. Okay, surprising should get the hook. Answer, answer solution, right? People like solutions, people feel like this, like, look at it, this is position as an information piece, right? You don't see any products below, it's just a quick headline. You don't see like any huge claims, huge promises, no nothing. Just a simple, plain as surprising answer to fatigue, brain fog, anxiety, sleep issues, and more. Now, fatigue, brain fog, anxiety, sleep issues. All of these are what? The pain points of the, or let's say, yeah, the pain points of the target market or ideal prospects, and more. And the reason, like, look at this guy. He represents probably the old agers, right? Old farts, let's say. And these people generally tend to have multiple different health issues. Yeah, they work their entire lives and have a lot of money saved up in their Roth IRA. Their Roth IRA have now wiped up. Their retirement savings are now about, they're gonna get spent. Let's say it's time to spend those, but now they're like facing health issues. They are the same thing that we discussed with truthaboutapps.com, their sales letters, they were extreme, like they completely tailored or catered to people above the ages of 55, because these people are now, kind of afraid that they're gonna die anytime soon. Higher blood pressure, um, they're afraid of sugar, or they already might have diabetes, joint pains, knee pains. They fear Alzheimer's, they fear cancer, they fear uh, dementia, yeah. So there's like this natural fear to this element, and they're not able to live to the like the full health, like full potential. They want to like live in peace, because now that they went through the whole rush process, like rush life. Now they just want to stay in peace and enjoy their lives, but this health thing is becoming a huge issue for them. And probably they are more focused on these kind of stuff rather than other ones. They're much more intrigued, and they probably spend much more time consuming content about their health, generally speaking. Okay, so that was like a brief assumption, estimation, let's say, on the target market. uh, Probably it should be much more deeper than that. You need to know about the pains in depth, you need to know about the fears in depth, hopes in depth, dreams in depth. What is the ideal specific scenario they want to be in? The creators probably thought about that stuff, because it's gonna be hard to build a VSL that you spend 1.6 million on with random ass market research. You need to know who you're talking to, most definitely. And the the specific you can get, the better it is, the better copy you'll be able to write. Meaning, like the more like you need to know the entire life. Like, if I asked you how the day went for, let's say, your ideal prospect, you should be able to say like what it is, like how it went, or like a normal day in his life. If I asked you like what would your not like normal, let's say, average prospect think about this specific stuff, or have like a, if I ask you like what belief would your prospect have on this specific topic, you should be able to give me a good answer. Now, of course, that's very in depth, and I don't think nobody, like, a lot of people don't do it. I personally don't do it. I'm guilty of it too. It's just out there. So if that gave you some form of insight, you should go and test it out right now. Of course, like, I'm trying to that's what I'm trying to do with these videos. I'm trying to teach, or let's say, um, convey the messages that I've learned throughout my entire career, which is like what, 7, 8 months, 9 months of from whatever I've learned. And what I've watched a lot of these breakdowns on YouTube by Games of Conversion and Kyle Milligan, and so I kind of know how to do these breakdowns and how to go about them. And just it's just breakdown. You're just seeing like why it worked, right? So yeah, that this way the these stuff gets tattooed into my head as well, and it's going to be much more easier for me to write my own copies as well. A surprising answer to fatigue, brain fog, anxiety, sleep issues, and more. Okay, I hope that clarified it. I hope yeah, that part was valuable. Now let's get into the VSL breakdown. I hope both of us are on the same page till now. Yeah, we've spent a lot of time yapping about the random stuff, but I'm pretty damn sure that's the most important thing th- you should like take away from this video, rather than the VSO itself. You need to understand who is actually landing onto your page, what the funnel is, what the grand scheme of things is. Like, are you retargeting it? What's your audience? What's your organic audience quality? If you like do retargeting for them, are they able to buy your product? Will they be able to purchase it? What's the quality of the audience? All of it matters. All of it does. The VSO, so yes, but as I always say, like, your copy is always going to be the bridge between your offer and the ideal prospect. If the prospect does not have the like problems painful enough that your offer is going to solve, and then the copy does not matter at all, right? You could have like an average product, but if it's going to the right traffic, it's going to solve the problem, and you wouldn't like it's gonna get sold. You're gonna be able to sell it well, even with average copy, unless it's a direct response. That's like an exception and stuff like that. Now this is now completely could be direct response, but as I said, like, I don't think they would use this if it was direct response. I'm kind of skeptical about this. Anyways, now let's get to the actual VSO breakdown. Might make notes on this. I might forget it. Regardless, let's see how it ends up, if I'm able to do that or not.
I'm Dr. Pompa.
Okay, welcome. I'm Dr. Pompa. Now he assumes like we should know him, but as I said, like, it's like a short introduction. It couldn't mean like, probably he's gonna talk about him, like he and his successes, and he and his him and his achievements in a second. Probably there's like there's something, right? You need to promise them. You need to hook the reader to watch till the end. Welcome. I'm Dr. Pompa. So sudden I feel like this video is gonna take a lot of time. Welcome, I'm Dr. Pompa. Okay,
But more about me in just a
but more about me in just a moment. Which is like what? Yeah, you got it right. Open loop. But more about me in just a moment. Meaning, like, you open one loop. Now, what you're gonna do is have loops throughout the video. Meaning, like, you open so many loops now that now, like, the reader has to fill it up. So he has to stick around and watch the entire video. So, this is like an NLP, neuro linguistic programming. Yeah, actual. This is like an actual thing. So, yeah, you should leverage that.
moment. What's more important is how I ended up here, even teaching this information for almost 20 years.
What's more important is now context of the whole thing. This is what the VSL is going to be based upon, right? This is the big idea of the VSL. No, not like the absolute big idea, but it's going to be the context of the VSL throughout the video. How I ended up here, even teaching this information. Think of it like a summary.
To doctors around the country, really even around the world. Well, look, first of all, I want to say this right off the bat. I was you.
Okay, now what's more important is how I ended up here, even teaching this information. Now, teaching, instant source of credibility, right? Let's say teaching this information to 20 years, for almost 20 years, to the doctor really around the world. Now, this is like a credibility section, right? You're building authority. Who teaches to doctors? Probably somebody who knows about his stuff, and he's like, around the world, so it looks like this guy is probably like a big issue. Maybe that explains their headline positioning, Dr. Daniel Pompa, and people might feel like, oh, who could this Daniel Pompa guy be, right? Maybe that's the sole reason they watch it. uh, that could be the case, that could not be the case, but yeah. For the credibility, okay. Well, first, I want to say this right off the bat. I was you. Now, relating to the traffic, right? Being relatable. The target market. I was you. All that story. I was you. I was the guy who was looking for answers.
I was the guy looking for answers, going, okay, what is wrong with me? It started with just general fatigue. It went into brain.
Mm. Like, this is like the, so like, this is vivid copy. I was the guy looking. It went to brain fog, and it ends up in anxiety. Then I can't sleep, or let's read that.
Fog, and then it ends up in anxiety. Then I can't sleep right, or even if I do, I'm wiped out the next day. And then even some bizarre symptoms like irritability, anger. I literally became someone I didn't know. But worse than all of it is life was falling apart around me. I definitely wasn't the husband that my wife.
Why am I trying to make like grammatical errors? I need to keep it the way it is. So yeah, meeting where they're at. Now look at this. This is probably he's probably trying to relate to the audience, right? This is probably the odd problem and the pain point that they are going through right now. So whenever you mentioned it, and like I literally became someone I didn't know. People can feel it. Hopefully, there's a reason like this. They spend 1.6 mil on it, but they can feel it, right? It's vivid. Yeah, okay, yeah. Then I got brain fog. Yeah, it's the same for me. It started with like fatigue. I was like kind of like tired all the time, and then I had started having brain fog. I was not able to like focus, and now like all of a sudden I was anxious and I was not able to sleep. Right? I don't know what's wrong with me. I have like irritability and anger issues, and I feel like I've become somebody I didn't know. It's like you are defining the ideal prospect core problem, but worse of like this is the main problem. Yeah, these are like the features of the problem, but these are like the benefits of the problems. I don't of course not benefits, but the opposite. What would you call it? These were like the symptoms. This was the main impact, right? How these stuff like it's just yeah, but it's just what it is, right? I felt like this. But worse than that, this was the ultimate emotion that I actually felt. Worse than that, I was definitely not the husband that my wife needs to be. Yeah, you have brain fog. Okay, you have anger issues. You can't sleep well. Worst, but what's the worst part? You're becoming somebody like you're becoming somebody who you don't know. You're falling apart. Everything's falling apart. You're not being the husband that your wife needs to be. Like wants you to be. And you definitely aren't the father that you have to be, and you don't have to like. And I had two boys at the time. I'll tell you my story in a moment. Okay, another open loop. I'll tell you more about my story in a moment. But probably like you, I thought it was something as simple as adrenals. I chased them because I was not. Yes.
Wife needed me.
By the way, the background also acts as a source of credibility. Now, if he had like a white coat, I think it would have boosted up. And if this, I don't know, like this could be a reason. There could be a reason they use this. So, but if he had like a white coat, I would feel like it would have led to more conversions. And if the background was more of a medical establishment, if you know what I mean, it would have gotten more conversions, in my opinion. Because Sugar Deadly had a similar thing. They had like a good medical establishment setup, and they were like bringing in multiple different, and their VSL was printing $1 million per month. So that tells you something, doesn't it?
To be, and I definitely wasn't the father, and I had two young boys at the time. I'll tell you more about my story in a moment, but probably like you, I thought it was something as simple as adrenals. I chased them because I was not adapting to any stress at all. I thought it was my thyroid, and yes, I was having thyroid symptoms. My hair was thinning. I was far younger than I am now.
Now, similar thing, right? Meeting where they at. Highlighting more of their pain points. No, highlighting their false beliefs, right? This one makes sense. But probably like you, I thought it was something as simple as adrenals. I chased them. I thought it was this, but it was not the case. And yes, I didn't have energy. My hair was thinning. I was far younger than I am now. And yes, I didn't have energy. I was absolutely cold all the time. Every symptom I researched linked back to my thyroid, but I ran only to know that it was normal. Again, another open loop. As I said, he's gonna have open loop throughout the video. I'm gonna show you in a moment.
And yes, I didn't have energy. I was absolutely
It was like you're highlighting their false beliefs and validating their false attempts. I'm sorry, failed attempts, right? Because probably the ideal prospect also has like went through all of this stuff, right? Like he has done all of this stuff only to find out that it he has like paid hundreds of thousands of dollars into stuff only to realize that it was not able to, it did not work on him, and it was not the problem he had. He does not actually like know what problem he has. That's the main pain point. That's his pain point. He does not know what problem he has, what's wrong with him. He's trying every supplement out there. He's doing like he's going through every coaching out there. Any like nothing seems to work for him. Why is that the case, right? You have to validate that. You'd have to hear them, like make sure that they feel heard. And I believe this does a good point of doing that.
cold all the time. Every symptom I researched linked back to my thyroid, but I ran $5,000 worth of blood work.
Now the $5,000 also like acts as a price anchor. Where the hell is it? I don't think like I should comment on it because you won't be able to see the comments unless I give you the editor's access, and if I give you the editor's access, you're all gonna fuck it up. Acts as a price anchor. Open loop. I'm gonna show you in a minute. I'm going to draw something on a board
to find out that it was normal. I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm going to draw something on a board. You'll understand why that is. I wanted something to be wrong. So therefore, I was running all the tests, running around to every doctor I could, and I knew some darn good ones, and yet I couldn't find answers. Okay, how did I end up here? Yes, my story is part of it. But in that time, it was hard. It was a really hard time for my wife and I, obviously. And my wife crying out to God for answers. In her prayer time, she heard God speak to her heart that not only was he going to get me well, but I was going to take a message to the world. And I'll tell you, that didn't come across great at that time. I didn't want to hear that. But what I would say to her exactly is, how do you even put that on me? I can't even get myself well, let alone take a message to the world. And if you knew my wife, you'd realize that she didn't care. She'd remind me of that every time things got hard. But I say that just to say that's actually why I'm here. My wife was right. The information you're going to hear in this training, yes, it came out of my illness. It came out of a lot of time of prayer. It's information that absolutely you haven't heard. And I know you've done a lot of things. I'm sure you've changed your diet. I'm sure you've tried different programs, different detox, different hormones, different supplements. But yet there is a reason why that you still don't feel well despite all those things. Because you're not crazy. Trust me. At times I thought I was, but there is in fact an answer. Okay, so I want to start here. I said that this is a...
Okay, now let's go through it. I wanted something to be wrong. I feel like that sentence has a lot of punch to it because you want it to be wrong. You want you're something like you want to find. It feels like he's trying to. He's like depicting the pain of trying to know what the actual problem is. Therefore, I was running all the tests, running around to every doctor I could find, and I know darn good ones. So this is like a nightmare story, right? Nightmare story, a hero story, whatever you can call it, right? Whatever you want to call it. You're trying to relate. You're trying to, as I said, meet them where they're at and actually feel for them. Information you're going to hear in this training, yes, it came out of my illness, it came out of a lot of prayer. It's information that absolutely you haven't heard, and I, you've done a lot of things. Okay, now you haven't heard implies that new emotion, right? It's probably new. It's the only way I'm gonna find out about this information. So as I said, now going back to all of this, what are we trying to do is, you know, no, like he's not actually promising this, and it's not compliant anyways. You can't promise this many thing in this many days anymore. You're gonna get taken down. That's not FTC compliant. But look at it. He mentioned whenever, okay, so whenever you mention about I was like you, the reader or the viewer, he concludes that um he or she concludes that this guy has a solution, when in reality you might not. But if you talk about the problems in depth, people are just going to assume that you have the solution. It's just conclusion, right? Conclusion, normal human conclusion. This information you're going to hear, okay. Novelness of the information. um this is like a blood, sweat, and tears, kind of like the blood, sweat, and tears analogy, because I went through all of this. I did all of that. I spent a lot of money. I went through all of this. I spent a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on this, right? The whole novelness of the information, and meaning, like, of course, like, this is something new. You're not gonna find this anywhere. This is the only place you're gonna find out about it, and now is the only time you're gonna find out about it. Because you do not know if it's gonna get taken down or if the video is gonna be there again. So there's a certain form of urgency as well. It's information that absolutely you haven't heard and new, right? And I know you've done a lot of things. As I said, you're trying to meet where they are. You're trying to build up the relatability with the audience so that they conclude that you are the authority, that you know their pain points and you'll know their solution. But there is in fact an answer. If you like, if you watched John Benson's transitioning to the solution, if you watch like John Benson's VSL, VSL guides on YouTube, it probably follows the same format. Just like a big solution, you talk about the big promise, you talk about the big problem, you talk about your nightmare story, you talk about this is like the core problem, right? This is like the highlighting the pain points. You open loops. You talk about your nightmare story. You then transition to solution. This looks like um the actual he like the structure he mentioned about. Let me like pull it off in my. I probably should have that as a checklist in one of my Google Docs. Let me check that. Maybe that's gonna work. Okay, so I found the templatized version of John Benson's VSL structure. Let's maybe like we should use this as our what do you call it? As our North Star. Now this one probably did not follow the same format, obviously, but it still has majority of the components that you saw, right? This doc I made for like as a lead magnet for the prospects that I was reaching out to. So I'm definitely not gonna share it with you guys. If you like the checklist, you can make one. I'm gonna go through it.
cellular
pattern interrupt or problem pain problem mechanism. Okay, pattern interrupt. Was there a pattern interrupt? Welcome, but more about me in just a moment. Now, there was kind of a pattern interrupt, but more about me in this minute. That part did acted as the pattern interrupt. So it's just a may, not actually, but let's just say it is. Big promise. Who is this for? Now, had they haven't mentioned the ideal prospect themselves, like who is this for specifically? But as I said, given that, if they have used the retargeting ads and campaigns, they're doing like a retargeting campaign. It's for people between above the ages of 50, 55, or let's say people who have the exact pinpoints that they've highlighted in the VSL. So big promise is a go for me. Yes, it's kind of a who this is for section, right? When you mention the pain points, and you haven't like promised anything big, but as I said, you have mentioned the pain points. If you have mentioned the pain points, you're promising them that you're gonna solve the pain points, including copy. Video says scarcity, nah. Breakthrough, yes. Now, what's the breakthrough part? This novelness of the information. The information, you're gonna get breakthrough because I found it after, it came out of my illness. It came out of a lot of time and of prayer. The information that you haven't heard of, and you have tried a lot of things. You've done a lot of stuff. Now, uh, problem with the old approach. Now, when I break it down from psychological perspective, not like a structural format, as in like you can templatize and implement it on something else. I just say that why it is what it is. Um, Now, opening a loop, yeah, we've done that. So we more or less have all the components of the lead that we actually need. So there's that modest introduction. I thought there was, but there is in fact. Okay, so I want to start here. I said that this is a cellular problem. It is. I know you've been cellular problem. Introduction. Introduction to the new, to the unique mechanism. Yeah, probably this section. By the way, this is not the absolute one. You can like have this up and down, right? Meaning like this structure isn't a given. You can use this throughout an entire section itself. You don't have to follow the same specific format. You just have to have them in the actual like the specific sections. Okay.
Problem. It is. I know you've been looking at a lot of different things and a lot of different answers, but the solution is at the cell. The real answer to why you still don't feel well is at the cell. All right. Who is this for? I think that.
Okay, so we have the who is this for. By the way, we're still in the lead phase. We haven't like actually gone to the introduction phase. The intro section, the lead. How you will actually know that the lead has ended is when the author like hops on to introduce himself. So whenever he talks about who am I, again, why should you listen to me, you can say that this is like the introduction and the rapport building phase. We're still in the lead phase, by the way. What you're gonna do in the lead is highlight the pain problems, say that who is this for, and you're gonna have some form of video scarcity. If you're gonna say that why your information is the breakthrough and why is it worth listening, you're gonna have to open a lot of loops, meaning like you have to get them to stay throughout the whole video, so that they actually consume the sales asset and get like retain more information so that you're always on the top of the mind. Next is the introduction and rapport building phase, where you're gonna talk about that stuff, why they should listen to you and stuff like that. But as I said, like, you can have this, it's not a given. There's like nothing in like this whole copywriting and marketing game is a given. You can always mix and match and twist the whole thing and make a whole hell of a lot more money, because the hero journey with the nightmare story, that's the we've already done that, right? Now, big reflection, I don't think we actually have like a solid one. We didn't have like a big reflection, right? Cellular problem is it's the mechanism, but we don't have like the solid framework to it. Okay.
This is important to make sure this is in fact for you. So obviously going to doctor after doctor with these typical symptoms, as I said, it starts with fatigue. And yes, then I actually got skinny fat, weight loss resistance. I wasn't fat obese-wise, but I was losing muscle and I had fat that I never had before, but I wasn't using fat as energy, which was part of the brain fog and fatigue. Brain fog, chronic weird pains that I had, thyroid problems, I mentioned that. And by the way, thyroid problems, very common with this, because the thyroid, you'll see, when I start getting into the causes, you'll see why the thyroid is so sensitive to some of these causes.
Okay, so you have also opened another loop by say you'll see, right? You'll see when I start getting to the you will see. So only if you watch the video.
Autoimmune, look, obviously this is autoimmune, and obviously this is about diabetes, but autoimmune is your body's own immune system attacking itself, is a reason why we have so many of the bizarre symptoms, so many of the hormones, hormone-related problems and symptoms, and I'm gonna draw that out in a minute. Just be with me here in a second. Adrenal issues, look, yes, my adrenals were blown out, but when I would address my adrenals or my thyroid problems, some things would get a little bit better, but a lot of things would actually get worse. It wasn't the upstream or the cause of my problem. My adrenals and my thyroid were just downstream, just getting whipped to death. So, and that is the case for most people. Like I said, despite our blood work actually looking normal. Hormone problems, had them all. Cold hands, feet, sleep problems, thinning hair, I mentioned all these. Constipation, I actually even had diarrhea. Digestive problems galore, mood problems. I actually had very massive amounts of irritability and anger, wasn't who I was. Anxiety, unexplained mystery symptoms, had them all. But look, most likely you are someone who's already changed your diet, exercised if you had the energy, because I didn't even have the energy to exercise when I was sick. You're taking amazing supplements, and you may even be taking bioidentical hormones, okay? That's who this is for, all of it. All right, now, who am I? I promised this part.
So this was like our big promise section. Who needs these? Meaning like you're gonna be able to solve all these problems. So as I said, this is concluding copy. Nobody mentioned that you are gonna solve it. But given that this guy talked about it, you're probably gonna solve it. Now, okay, now our lead has finally ended. Now this is like the credibility section. Or let's say the rapport building. Let's just copy paste the whole thing. The introduction. Wait there's now let's talk about it different, like the environment, the setting of the whole thing. Look at this, like slides. You probably feel like you're getting a lot of value from this. You do not look at this like a VSL, do you?
Look, I have taught doctors around the world, as I mentioned, and the public for almost 20 years. I've helped more than 30,000 people get their lives back, really more than that, because indirectly, through the doctors I've trained, it's probably thousands more than that. Actively traveling the country, speaking to thousands, and this is what I'm most proud of, most successful virtual online coaching program in the world, and there we've helped thousands upon thousands. And most importantly, as I said already, I was you, and now I'm called to bringing this answer. Everything that you're going to hear came out of it. And I believe in my heart of hearts, if you made it this far right here, then you're going to hear your answer. And I pray that's the case. Okay, as I promised, I want to draw this out for you on the board because I really want you to hear why this is.
Yeah, one more thing I did not mention is the validation they're getting. Meaning, like, when you highlight the pain points of a problem, the pain points of your ideal prospect so vividly that they, actually they relate to you, you know, they feel like, like they're asking this question to themselves, like they're thinking to themselves, like, how does this guy know all of this stuff? Is damn right. Like, yes, I feel like that. Yes, the yes mindset, the assertiveness, the gradualization process, like that is what it's called. Or let's say the trial closes, that's what Russell Brunson calls it. You need to build the assertiveness and the head nodding copy throughout the whole thing, so that when it's time to actually get the offer, they are already sold on you. They are feel like, oh yes, all of this makes sense now. Yes, it makes sense for me to buy this as well. If like you work on if this, then this, this, you work on this system as a human being. So if this is like LHS equals R, like if this makes sense, this should make sense. And whenever you talk about if you are like, you hear all this time, like, if you're watching this video, you're gonna be the top 1%. And whenever you like I myself do this sometimes, when at the end of the video I talk about, if you watch the video to the end, you're a G, you're gonna make it. And you heard this from other creators, right? And if you watch the video, like, let's say you watch like an hour long video, and you are 45 minutes in. If you're 45 minutes in, you're gonna be successful or something like that. And you validate them, like, you make them feel good, you make them stand out. And hence that's why they're gonna stick around much more further along into the video. Now, who am I promised that part. Look, I have talked my okay, where were we? Sorry.
Is different and why you still don't feel well. Let's do it. All right, I told you I have a saying, you fix the cell, you get well, but let me reverse it. If you don't fix the cell, you're never going to get well. And it's the reason why we were pulling out our hair going, what is wrong? What happened to my life?
Now, this is probably the part where he breaks your limiting beliefs. Destroy all shakeable beliefs, ingrain new ones that aligns with the product. It's like the solution part, but what you're doing is actually like destroying the old shakeable beliefs, destroy old shakeable beliefs, ingrain new ones that aligns with the product, right? That's gonna help become the domino effect for the one thing that Russell Brunson always talks about, is it becomes the one thing for your product. And one more thing, what I wanted to add was destroy old shakeable beliefs, ingrain new ones that align with the product. What was I gonna talk? And frame all of it as a solution. So people feel like it's like they're receiving novel information, But when they're actually not, what's happening is he's validating their mistakes. It's not your fault and stuff like that. Building a common enemy. Destroy old shakeable beliefs, ingrain new ones that align with the product. Now the ingrain new ones, we've already seen these type of stuff, meaning like validate the mistakes. Like, of course you tried all the stuff, right? You were not able to get results. Build a common enemy. It's because these people do not know about this. It's because the cell, you have a problem at the cell. Okay, the cell is the problem, not me, eating those chocolates late at night, or not like having an alcoholic addiction. No, that's not the problem. Destroy all shakeable beliefs. Like, you probably, yeah, we also had this component already in the VSL. So destroying all shakeable beliefs, meaning like, yeah. So you probably think like this is the case. No, it's not the case. Now you need to make sure that these are shakeable beliefs. These are not strong, like solid beliefs, like a political whole. It's like a political movement. You should not make sure you make sure that it's not as polarizing at. You should not go against the entire thing. It's gonna be hard because this is not an educational like education based stuff. It's a complete sales asset, meaning like you're getting them to sell, you're getting them to buy. And if you can get them to buy, if go against their solid beliefs, that does not happen. You should not be doing that. But what you can do is reframe their existing beliefs, like shakeable beliefs. They had, like, meaning like they should have some form of doubt or some form of conspiracy. Like, you're quote unquote like validating their doubts. Yeah, I knew this guy, these guys, these bastards were the one ripping me off. I knew it. You're validating them, and you're ingraining new beliefs that align with the product. Let's look at it. How much of I probably feel like this entire is gonna this is gonna be a long part, meaning like it's gonna take a lot of time. Meaning like um most of the content that's coming up is gonna fall into this category. So I'm not gonna break it down word by word every part of the way, because as I said, if you nail the structure, and given that they have a good lead, let's say a good enough lead, I believe people got through to this end, and it was like, what, the engagement rate was like 28%. So that's pretty good for VSL.
Life as I know it. I'm going to draw that out in 1 minute, and you're going to understand it better than you've ever heard it before.
Now draw it out. Now, because this is a video, people are gonna retain more information, and now he's gonna draw it, and he's gonna use analogies, and he's gonna, just people who have, who retain more information visually are gonna retain more information visually because of this, right? Um, yeah.
I want to start
That way, if they retain the sales message as well, and if they retain the sales message, they're gonna buy it.
with this.
By the way, there's also like another like $10 million VSL and another $4 million VSL. We should do a breakdown, but I feel like this video is gonna get too long, so we're not gonna do one daily. I think like I should structure this video out in 2 days. That way, or let's say upload one video every 2 days or so. So that way I don't waste my time in like entire day going through all this stuff.
You may have heard that inflammation is the cause of most chronic diseases, and that is absolutely true. But this is going
Okay, and that is absolutely true. Validate. Okay. Validate the mistakes and pre-existing beliefs. See, he just did that. He just validated your pre-existing beliefs. Like, you feel like inflammation. Oh, I don't know what he mentioned.
to pull it in perspective for you.
Can I not rewind
I'm
it?
not talking about inflammation of the sort
But was the Yeah, you may have heard that the inflammation is the cause of most chronic diseases, and that is absolutely true. Yeah, this part, validating the existing beliefs, right?
or shoulder or knee. I'm talking about cellular inflammation. Now, that's a cell. We have about 50 to 70 trillion of these in our bodies. But when we talk about, I should say, inflammation that causes chronic disease, we're talking about our cells being inflamed. Now, what does that have to do with how we feel? Everything. Because when cells get inflamed, you can't get the things that we need to function normal and feel good, nutrition, into the cell, and something worse happens. We can't get the toxins out of the cell. Oh yes, toxins that we accumulate, but when we make energy in the place of our cell called the mitochondria, you don't have to worry about that, that's the powerhouse. But when we
See, more validation. Everybody knows that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
make this little precious ATP that we need for our brains to work, our digestion to work, all of our hormones to work, everything is energy dependent. When we make energy, we actually make smoke, waste, if you will. And the reason I said smoke is think about your fireplace. You're making energy, but if you don't have the damper open, the smoke pours.
Okay, now see, as I said, like he's gonna use analogy throughout the whole thing so that people retain more information. Metaphors. So it's there for a reason.
Pours into the house and kills us, not the flames. No different than when a cell is inflamed, we don't get rid of the toxins and bad things happen. Yes, all of the detox pathways, energy pathways start shutting down in the cell. We have to fix that to get well. One more point. I talked a lot about hormones already. Obviously, a lot of our bizarre symptoms and lack of energy and irritability, anxiety, all the weird things that we have are hormone related, and you may have already tracked it down. Something's wrong with my hormones. Something's wrong with maybe with my thyroid. That's what I thought. Something's wrong with my estrogen, my testosterone, my insulin, because I'm gaining fat, right? Okay, you're right. But what's not correct is, remember I told you that I went to my doctor and got blood work done, and I measured every hormone, all to be normal. Matter of fact, everything I looked at was normal, so they look at you with that thing that you're crazy. Okay, but what they didn't understand, or at least tell me, was that it doesn't matter what your blood levels are. Yes, eventually my levels would go off. Maybe it would have taken 10 years, and then of course they would just hand me a medication, which would have made my blood levels normal. But what they didn't tell me is my hormones, because of inflammation, weren't getting their message in the cell. It doesn't matter what your blood levels are.
Yeah, we need to destroy and reframe the old shakeable beliefs, build a common enemy. This is what we're doing right now, doctors, right? We're validating the mistakes and pre-existing beliefs. And we're ingraining the new ones, meaning like, yeah, information and stuff like that, right? So I'm just gonna, when he mentions about stuff, I'm just gonna go back to this part, or I'm just gonna like point out. I hope you're getting it. I'm just gonna go to either of these docs and just point out what's the actual stuff that's happening. So it's easier for you, right? So we don't have to. I don't have to close the video every time I have to speak.
If the hormones can't get their message in the cell. Oh, you know what else? On every cell, there's nutrition receptors, vitamins, things like vitamin D, which is a pro-hormone, have to attach to receptors and get their message in.
Yeah, one more thing I'd like to add into all of this is look at how he's not assuming that his audience is dumb, right? These people already know about this stuff. The market has sophisticated. Yeah, I mentioned about, talking about market sophistication. These people already know about all this stuff. They were watching content. They were on the health space. They subscribe to a bunch of newsletters and whatnot. And they actually know about this stuff. Wait a second. Okay, let's get back to the sauce. Yeah, that's why I do not like pausing videos and going for tea breaks in between, because I tend to forget what I was talking about and where were we, like when we left off. That's why, like, I don't think I should distribute this recording this video throughout a day or two or three, because I'll just forget let's say like you're not in the same flow state as you were when you were actually like doing it. Let's not complain about it. Let's dive deep into it. Deep. Let's dive into it without further ado.
In the cell. So you see, it doesn't matter what diet you eat, how many amazing supplements that you're taking, if our cells are inflamed and we can't get the utilization there. There's one more bad thing that happens. Okay, we have our DNA in every cell. And you know what happens as the cell becomes more and more shut down, in the detox pathways shut down, we start triggering bad genes. It's called epigenetics. And yes, your thyroid condition could have been turned on, your diabetes, your autoimmune, all of it, because this is happening at the cell. If you don't fix the cell, you...
By the way, okay, so we have to do that. I wonder where we are. Okay, but when we talk about realization, okay, yes. Now we mentioned about where was the introduction to the unique mechanism, right? Now what's gonna happen is there's gonna be two unique mechanisms. Okay, unique mechanism of the problem, unique, or let's say USM, unique solution UPM, unique problem mechanism, and USM, unique solution mechanism, meaning like unique mechanism of the solution and the unique mechanism of the problem. Now, unique mechanism of the problem is the cell, right? You are not fixing the cell, you are having some problem in a cellular level, right? Cellular solution, like there's a reason it's cellular solution, right?
You get well.
And you're gonna have now the product, right? Solution is the product, right? Solution, the product, like the product is the solution. Now what's going to happen is there's going to be a main component of the solution that's going to be a unique problem, unique like solution mechanism or unique mechanism of the solution that's going to tackle the unique unique mechanism of the problem, meaning like this product helps directly tackle the like this problem, meaning like, for example, let's say compound X, or let's say molecule or element X is going to tackle cell, the cell inflammation.
Well,
This is probably how it's going to turn out. Let's see. And there are probably going to be much more other nutrients in this product that's going to be about, that's going to give you much more benefits and solve these problems, meaning that they solve much more like other problems as well, the other ingredients, that is, meaning like, yeah, the main unique solution, I'm sorry, the main unique mechanism of the solution is going to solve the main unique mechanism of the problem, but there are also going to be other mechanism of the problem, other mechanism of the solutions. They are gonna solve the other mechanism of the problems, if that makes sense, right? The main is gonna tackle the main. It's like a boss, let's say a team fight, meaning like five of these guys, and let's say this is the leader, and this is the opponent leader. This is the team, like this is you, the leader. This is the protagonist, this is the antagonist, and these are the other four are the members of the gang, of the club, of the tribe. I hope that makes sense. And these five are like, number one, that's cell inflammation. Number two, fatigue, brain fog, anxiety, sleep issues, uh, joint pains, aches, stuff like that. This could be the main ingredient that solves this problem, main ingredient that solves this sleep issues, one of the solution that's going to help solve brain fog, another solution that's going to help solve anxiety, that stuff. I hope I hit the point home however I could, in the best, like, in the best possible way I could probably do it. If you did not understand it, then I'm probably a bad explainer.
Now, this is what you should be asking yourself right here. Okay, what's
Okay, so this is what you should be asking yourself, meaning reframing the old shakeable beliefs, right? You're destroying. I'm just gonna pinpoint it to the exact thing when he like says it, so that I don't have to pause the video in between like a couple dozen times.
do I have inflammation? Number one, hang in there, because at the end, I'm going to show you the test that we've been using for years. It's a simple, accurate, in-home test to see if you have cellular inflammation. And it's 50 times actually more accurate than a blood test. Okay, now, also, you're going to hear in a moment the causes. You should
Here in a moment, okay, open loop again.
be asking yourself this question right here. Well, Dr. Pompa, if I have inflammation, what's causing it? That's a good question. We're going to get into it, because the causes are where most practitioners go wrong. They don't get to the cause, and they don't get
Most practitioners get wrong.
there accurately. Let's get to it. Let's go. Okay. Now, I've talked about a lot of symptoms. I talked about hormone problems. I talked about fatigue. I talked about brain fog, gut issues, but it gets more serious. What I want you to
Okay, so the overall, like overarching, let's say the overarching, I don't know how to pronounce that, overarching structure is problem, agitate, solution. I've broken down a lot of health promos in the past, and I've mentioned that, especially in the health space, problem, agitation, solution works because it just makes sense. You have a problem, health problem somewhat, right? Then you need agitation, meaning like, oh, it's gonna make this, it's gonna make that. Oh, what if this happens? You're not gonna feel like this, you're not gonna feel like this, and eventually you're gonna be hated by your entire family or something, right? And then you're gonna get the solution. It's just an overarching structure. Of course, it did not. The structure wasn't the same throughout the whole thing, and there were a lot of other psychological triggers that are there are put throughout the video. But the overarching structure is the problem agitated solution.
see here, and this is, I'm just going to give you a couple of examples. All right, Alzheimer's is
What did I mention at the beginning of the video? Alzheimer's. People are afraid. People in these target market are afraid of Alzheimer's.
crazy right now. Right now, we're seeing Alzheimer's in young kids. We're seeing dementia starting in 40-year-olds.
By the way, I tend to forget stuff. Am I getting dementia?
By 2050, 13 to 16 million people is expected to have this. That's 1 out of 3 over the age of 65 are expected to have Alzheimer's. That's a scary number. That doesn't even include dementia. Now look, here's the scary part. You know where the studies show that it starts? It starts with simple brain fog, forgetfulness, and it evolves from there. Now, I'm going to talk about not every cause of this, but you're going to hear a neurotoxin that we know is linked to Alzheimer's. And yet, how many people are actually going after it in the right place? We're getting there. Okay, on the rise. This one breaks my heart, and you probably have heard this, but if the present scale of growth continues, by 2032, 1 out of every 2 children in the U.S. are going to be on the autism spectrum.
Now, bro, you're autistic. I think this is going to be much more of a reality. Now, by the way, now where are we in this spectrum? Now he has like proofs, right? Yeah, he's introducing proof. Where are we? Now this is like the body structure of the VSL. It's probably going to follow the following structure, meaning like objection, claim, proof, benefit, right? objection. Like, let's talk about the objection. Where's the objection? Okay, where was it? Well, Dr. Bob, if I have inflammation, what's causing it? Okay, so this is the objection. That's a good question. Okay, we're going to get into it. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, so Alzheimer's is crazy right now. This is the claim. Now, this is the proof. Now, there's no like objection, claim, proof, benefit is how the other niche operate for the body structure. In case of health space, it follows the misunderstanding, claim, proof, alternative, or misunderstanding, claim, proof, agitation. So these two are the frameworks, which is what I've noticed. By 2050, yeah.
Now, you know what they say the reason is? Genetics. Do you believe that? I don't believe it for a minute. The same cause that
Okay, goes back to the whole thing of, you know, do you believe them? No, build a common enemy, right?
is driving dementia and Alzheimer's epidemic and all these other conditions and symptoms I'm talking about, right? The same cause is really the link, and we're going to show you that. The diabetes epidemic, okay, this is what's shocking. Okay, first of all, 1 in 3 children born after the year of 2000 will have diabetes in his lifetime. That's a big number. Okay, so, you know, we look at dementia and Alzheimer's, and then we put this on top of it. But this is what I want you to see here. Look, new studies show that it's not just food. What is it? Well, what is it is what we're talking about. Specific neurotoxins are the reason why maybe if you have.
By the way, we're still in this phase, the big problem phase. We're talking about the scapegoat, we're talking about how it's not your fault. I'd add a lot of stuff, and I believe like this needs to be edited, meaning like we'd have to add others. These two are the general structure as following. Okay, so let's yeah, not call it solution, but let's say the epiphany.
Have pre-diabetes or diabetes, you're saying, I've changed my diet and yet I still have the condition. Oh yeah, and that's why doctors say you can change your diet, it won't fix anything. Because it's not just a diet problem. Oh, it makes it worse, and it can even be causative. But the big cause, 80% of the time, is a specific neurotoxin. We'll talk about it. So, all right, what is the true cause? I think that's what we're asking ourselves. What is the real cause? Most experts looking past, you're just unlucky, because believe it or not, that's what they think or believe, or it's just your genetics. Okay, the experts, the real experts will tell you 70 to 90% of chronic disease is in fact toxin related. And I want to be clear, we're going to be talking about the very specific neurotoxins that are really driving these epidemics that I've already mentioned some of. I haven't talked about autoimmune, but it absolutely is one of the fastest growing epidemics. And I mentioned this, it's 80 to
Let me pause the video for a second. Let's continue.
90%, they estimate, of Americans who just don't feel good have autoimmune. But I got my blood test. It showed I didn't. No, the testing's in the Stone Ages. Autoimmune is rampant, meaning our own immune systems are driving cellular inflammation, attacking it and driving it, or attacking our thyroid cells, or attacking our insulin receptors, and driving these conditions like autoimmune and diabetes, and like I said, simply, I don't feel well because it's attacking our testosterone and estrogen receptors. All right, so this is what they say. These are not just average toxins. I'm sorry, I lost my page. 98%.
Like feel like how it's just like a normal presentation as if you are learning something. It does not feel like a VSL, does it?
Of thyroid and unexplainable symptoms are toxin related. 98% of thyroid conditions are toxin related. That's almost to say 100% of thyroid cases are in fact toxin related. All right, 97% of autoimmune are toxin related, and I made that statement already. 80% of diabetes is in fact toxin related. Our buckets are overflowing. As I said at the board, our genes then are becoming triggered for disease. So we want to think of our cells as these little buckets, and then it gives us a really good understanding of what's going on. As our cells are filling up, and by the way, I'm going to show you in a minute that this is happening in utero at birth. One day, just like in my...
Okay, I hope you can now tell how he's using the, like, incorporating the what do you call it, the, I forgot about it. Yeah, the open loops.
Case. All of a sudden, the bucket overflows, and you see the inflammation start.
Now, metaphoric, right? Metaphoric analogy.
And once the inflammation starts, here comes the symptoms. We have blood pressure, right? I had high and low blood pressure at one point, right? We have weight loss resistance, dizziness, all the inability to adapt to any stress for that matter. Exercise malaise, that means we actually can't exercise. I told you I wasn't able to exercise when I was sick. Brain fog, fatigue, headaches, trouble sleeping, mood changes. I had all of these, as I said. So the bucket overflows, the symptoms start. Okay, so back to the real solution. You might say to yourself at this point,
I feel like we're now transitioning. Come on. Okay. I feel like we're now transitioning to a bigger solution, right? We're on this phase.
Dr. Pompa, I have done detox products, I've done detox systems, I've done detox programs, 21-day cleanse, I sauna all the time, I've taken Corella, all of it.
So what he did, he validated their mistakes by, leveraging his mistakes as well.
And what I'm going to tell you is, although those things may not be bad, it's not any way that you're going to get your life back. Nope, because none of those get to the cellular issue. And I already told you, if you don't fix the cell, you're not going to get well. But more specifically, if you don't detox the cell, you're not going to get well. Remember, I told you that the toxins shut down the detox pathways. So you can try all these different chelators and doing different things. And like I said, all the detoxes that I mentioned, changing the diet, but ultimately, if we don't upregulate what the cells need to do day in, day out, we will never fix the hormones, we will never fix our energy pathways, we will never fix something called methylation, which gets rid of toxic hormones, and we will never shut down autoimmune. It's impossible. So real detox has to be at the cell. This is what I've been teaching for 20 years. My passion around this is deep because I was the guy on the other side. I was the guy looking for answers and going to doctors and them just haphazardly mentioning, try this, try that, this supplement, that supplement, this detox, that detox. And it made me worse. It didn't make me better. So that's why I started coaching doctors, because somebody had to tell them the right thing. But now I'm bringing it directly to you. All right, this is what I want to show you. From the womb to the tomb, this is where this problem's starting. You're going to see, this answers how we got here with all of these explosions of bizarre diseases. And remember, this starts with simple fatigue and brain fog and gut problems and leads to these conditions. But look, when they looked at umbilical cords in this
Another like main thing that he mentioned. Let's sorry. Now, yeah, like I wanted to point out the how he used the metaphors and analogies of you can like the bucket
Study. They
analogy,
looked at 400
like how you are just treating the symptoms, you're not treating the root cause, which is the he has managed to position the information, the cellular level information as the main problem, the core problem, right? It's the bottom of the problem, meaning like you have told them what their core problem is. Now you have to tell them that there's a solution to it. And they probably, if you mentioned about this, you probably, as I said, concluding copy. People already believe that it works. That meaning like you have a solution. So they are more likely to stay until the end.
113 chemicals. In 287, they found in umbilical cords. 180 chemicals are known to cause cancer. So we're starting life like this today. Cancer rates in children, almost a 70% increase in 1950. Why? Why? Everyone knows. Every expert knows it's toxins, but it's these specific neurotoxins that are accumulating in utero, and even worse, as you're going to see, it's being inherited even from our parents, and then our buckets are filling from there. It's inherited, which I call generation toxicity. Two ways: physical inheritance, meaning from mom to baby in utero, and also I mentioned the word epigenetics, meaning genes are turned on, but it's not just turned on for one generation; it's 4 generations. Physical inheritance of actual toxins, and I'm going to give you an example in one moment, and actually the genes get turned on in the next generation. There was a study, Duke University, 2 identical groups of mice. What they did is expose them to a toxin in one group, and it turned on a gene that hurt their thyroid. Their hair became yellow, dry, thin. They became obese. They called it the agouti gene. And what happened is the next generation and the next generation was born with the gene triggered. So they were born doomed to become obese with thyroid conditions. Sound familiar? In the study, they also talked about
Sound familiar? Now goes back to the whole yes no question, right?
something that I teach, how to turn off the gene, because when we fix the cell, we can downregulate that gene expression. But we have to get rid of the neurotoxins and the sources first, and then we can do it. That's part of the good news, and that's part about how I got my life back. Okay, the lead generation. Our parents grew up in the lead generation, and many of us as well. 4 generations, 2 ways, I told you that. Okay, ladies, listen. What happens is lead is stored in the bones, and it's where it wants to go. What's normal in pregnancy is that you lose bone. It's normal, it's hormonal, but out comes the lead. Where does it go? Into the baby. 4 generations. My wife got her mother, who ended up dying of cancer, and she had a lot of her hormone symptoms. She got her lead, and my wife, as you'll see in a minute, she put it into my children. But we broke that cycle, so can you. Anyways, and it also turns genes on for 4 generations. There's my wife's test. And I don't know if you can see it, but she was a 69. Normal today, when we did this test, normal was under 5. Normal today is actually under 0.5. And this is my son's test. My son started getting symptoms despite us doing life at a very, very healthy level, like amazing diet, everything. And yet my son had bizarre symptoms. His nickname was the Banshee because of his irritability and his screaming and his digestive problems that he had, which we ended up learning, as you see, that it in fact came from my wife. And by the way, it wasn't just this son, it went into 3 of our sons. There's our family right there. And I said 3, but this one on the end, the girl on the end, I can't get my cursor to work right there, and her brother we adopted later. Dylan has his story. He started life on the autism spectrum, and Olivia had her symptoms. All of us, from pain to purpose, went through everything that I teach today. So, by the way, most of these people here in this family work in this company with much passion because of our own story. This is really my story. I was affected. A lot of my symptoms, I didn't know this at the time, actually came from, I got.
And now all of this, now what you're gonna see from here on out, as I mentioned above, is the structure, like the promise proof, claim proof, more case studies, stories, and whatnot.
Some of these silver fillings removed right here that you're looking at. They contain 50% mercury, and I didn't obviously know that, and I got a few removed. Days later, I got fatigued. It was years later that I even put the correlation together. But you have to understand, I was accumulating mercury from my mother. My mother had a lot of the symptoms that I ended up with that she was dealing with. My mother had a mouthful of silver fillings, and as you'll see in a minute, that is the #1 source. So #1 source, dental amalgams, not just ours, but also from mom. Obviously, vaccines still have mercury in them. However, they put a lot of aluminum, and the aluminum-mercury combination is absolutely lethal. There's a lot of publicity about seafood, but as you can see, it's low on the list as far as causes go, or sources, I should say. Contact lens fluid, 70s, 80s, and early 90s, loaded with thimerosal, which went right into our brains. That was one of my sources as well. So, mercuries. Mercury in fillings. This is a study, one of the most prestigious scientific journals called FASB. The more amalgam fillings you have in your mouth, the more mercury you have in your organs, including your brain, kidney, and liver. And folks, this is where it starts. It starts really the main symptoms in our brain. So these mercury, the mercury goes into the brain from the fillings. As a matter of fact, it goes off in what we call mercury vapor, and it accumulates in the brain, especially, studies show, especially in an area called the pituitary hypothalamus. I'm gonna go back to the board because I wanna show you something which will.
Now, what's also happening here is the knowledge gap. You can see like this guy knows his stuff, so I might as well sit back, relax, and take notes, because yeah, he knows what he's talking about. When you say all of this stuff, and when you talk about the nuances in this much, in this depth, people have got no other option but to believe that you know what you're talking about. If you've got an objection, if you can handle an objection of an objection and of an objection, right? You talk about this main objection, and there are multiple different parts, sub objections. If you can handle every single one of them, people are gonna believe that you have studied this stuff in depth and you know about it, so you're worth listening into. This is one of the major persuasion tactics, is to position your expertise however you can. But what happens is that you come up with all this new informations, people get that aha moment, and you get a lot of sales. The market sophisticates. There are more competitors who make the same claims as you, and people get it just sophisticates, right? But given that you're the proprietor, you're gonna make a hell of a lot more money, and you're gonna stay in the business long term as well. So yeah, it was a worth side note type thing. But the main point is, what was the main point? Alzheimer's, right? I'm getting Alzheimer's, I guess. But the main point is to you know what the fuck was I talking about? Alzheimer's. Oh shit, hell no, I need to buy this product.
Concern you, but it's going to answer the question again of,
yeah, the main point is to build the knowledge gap.
Why you tried everything and still don't feel well. So let's go back there. Okay. I'm not a very good artist, so bear with me, please. And I've been known to draw some funny people. All right, believe it or not, that's a person, but here's what I want you to see. That's the brain. Okay, I said that this is where many neurotoxins accumulate. Obviously, depending on where in the brain they accumulate, depending on the symptoms that we get. But what studies show, as I just mentioned, is many of them accumulate in the center of the brain called the hypothalamus pituitary. You know what that does? It controls your thyroid. It controls your adrenals. It controls your whole hormone system. What happens is when hormones get into certain levels in your blood, it feeds back to the hypothalamus, and then that will tell your pituitary to release more or less. So that feedback mechanism all starts with the control tower. Imagine taking out the control tower in an airport. Okay, we'd have planes wrecking everywhere.
Imagine, right? You say something technological, or let's say something technical. For example, the whole hypothalamus and the hormonal analogy. Now people might get like, oh, it's kind of complex, but it's immediately followed up by imagine, blah blah blah. People retain the information much more better, and people can tell our mind can tell the difference between perceived reality and actual reality. So when you tell somebody a story, people feel like that actually happened, even though we know it did not happen. Consciously, you subconsciously know that, and that story acts as the social proof, acts as like some form of proof, meaning like it already exists. And you also say, yes, okay, that makes sense, right? Whenever you use the stories, like story analogy. So that's why like it's very important that you use like the metaphors and analogies and stuff like that throughout the whole thing.
Of course, it's important, no different in our body. So studies are showing in this area is where the mercury in particular, it accumulates. Now here's what I want you to show. So you can't fix your thyroid or your adrenals or your hormone problems unless you deal with where the problem is. Here's another problem. When your cells can't hear the hormones because they're being blocked by inflammation, we're gonna test you for that, then this doesn't get the feedback either, and it can't even regulate your levels. No wonder you don't feel well. No wonder you've tried everything and nothing's worked. Look, my brain phase is actually what I'm known for. I have to believe this, and I said this earlier, that I've got sick to learn it. Getting these neurotoxins, whether it be mold, hidden infections, and I'm talking more today even about specific heavy metals because it's done so wrong in our space. But understand, neurotoxins in the brain, and we will assess you for mold, hidden infections, and all these things that potentially, as you will see, from utero, the time we are born, enter into the brain, and if we don't get them out correctly and safely, you're never gonna get your life back. You're gonna learn it. My brain phase is the key. Obviously, it's how I got my life back, but it's the key of how you're going to get your life back. All right, back to this. All right, this is what I want to show you. This is called the Dirac study. Ladies, the amount of mercury in your mouth, or I should say it this way, the amount of fillings, the number of fillings in your mouth is proportional to how much mercury they found on autopsy studies in the baby's brain. So when we want to see where this starts accumulating, in me, it started in utero. I was getting the mercury from my mother's fillings. And again, it's proportional to how many fillings they have in their mouth. Pretty scary. I mentioned this earlier. Dementia is now striking people in their 40s as mercury from vaccines causes slow degeneration of the brain. But we're getting it from all the sources. We can't just blame one source. It's accumulating in utero from womb to the tomb. How many symptoms do you have there? Take a look at that. I had them all. I had every bit of these, from the weird eyelid, face twitching, muscle twitching, anxiety, dizziness, irritability, sound sensitivity, couldn't concentrate. My wife would tell you I had abnormal menses, low body temperature. I had it all. Tinnitus, ringing, heartbeats in the ears, insomnia. I had every one of those symptoms. Those are classic mercury symptoms. You think it could get worse? It does. This generation is what we call the glyphosate generation. I don't know if you saw the Roundup thing, the things on TV saying about all the lawsuits for cancer and all of these different diseases from Roundup. Well, this is the active ingredient in Roundup that's causing all the trouble. This chemical opens up the blood-brain barrier. This study that you're looking at there, Stephanie Seneff, senior scientist at MIT, she showed that this chemical is opening up the brain, and that already the exposure, the neurotoxins that we already have been accumulating throughout our lifetime, the point I'm making, it's allowing it to cross deeper into the brain. She believes it's leading to autoimmune, diabetes, dementia, Alzheimer's, and she has proven that now in many papers. Where are we getting it from? Everything that we're eating, everything, is loaded with glyphosate. This is the issue right here, right? I made it. We can't get the good stuff in our cells. We can't get the bad stuff out. Our hormones aren't connecting to our cells. It doesn't matter if we take them. It doesn't matter our diet changes. Every one of the hormones that make us feel normal, normal energy, every bit of it is the problem. It's not my opinion. Inflammation becomes chronic rather than transitory. That means acute. Acute inflammation is actually good. The body turns on itself, sounds like autoimmune, with after effects that seem to underlie a wide variety of problems. And if you look at the article, inflammation is the cause of cancer, diabetes, and it goes on and on in the actual article. I want you to take this 30-second neurotoxic quiz. Just look at it, go through it. You probably you read a lot of these already. Well, if you have 5 out of these 10, you're toxic. If you have 8, most likely you're severely neurotoxic or have severe neurotoxic illness.
So when you use like these sort of analogies, you are more likely to stay. For example, if you have like 1 or 2 out of the, you're not gonna be that interested into the whole thing. You feel like you're safe, but you're still the next. But if you have like more than these, you're gonna stick around and watch this. And people who are watching this probably have more than these.
10 out of 10, your health is severely compromised and most likely already have serious health condition. So if it walks like a duck, quacks like one, it probably is one. I want to inspire you a little bit here. This is from a Facebook post that his coach actually posted for him, but September 2020, exhausted, lethargic, unable to do much other than the basic necessities every day, struggling with sleep, weight loss, resistance, ringing in the ears, all the symptoms I said, right? Thyroid issues, fungal issues. Well, this is the best part. How is he feeling now? Amazing. Hormones are balanced, weight loss achieved, and he feels like he has his health back. Finally, after years of running in circles. And by the way, that's him in the picture because he climbed this 14,000-foot mountain from not being able to do much of anything. So look, we have hundreds of these posts, and if I didn't put them in, then maybe you would ask, but we have far more than that, and you'll have access to those. Look, I said that this was the test here. This is an in-home cellular inflammation test. We need to start. If we're gonna look at neurotoxic illness,
So you how like he introduced um
it drives cellular inflammation, the number one cause. Yes, dietary issues can cause it, but the number one cause.
so yeah, this is like the biggest solution thing. Now sometimes it's optional. You don't have to like actually like tell the solutions because you've talked about all these problems in so much depth that you don't have to give away the solutions at all. Like you mentioning all about these problems, it's like an aha moment for them. It's just, oh, all of this makes sense for them. So you could get away with not giving the solutions as well. and probably because this is like a front end product, it's gonna be more relevant. But it's better that you can do this or do that, but it's not gonna. And but the third one is gonna, meaning you cannot do it without the toolkit or whatever he has. So product, yeah. Now we're gonna go about the overview, I guess.
Cause is toxins. So we start here. This test is, in fact, 50 times more accurate than a blood test. I want to say this right now, and I always love telling people this. 97 percenters versus 3 percenters. Most of the population, unfortunately, is a 97 percenter. That means that we focus on our fears. We don't take the steps needed to get our life back, right? There's something, and this is actually true, and it's pretty cool. 3 percenters are actually the people who change the world. 3 percenters are the people who make a decision to, I am not gonna live my life like this. Despite the fears, despite the doubts, they just do it, right? 3 percenters are literally people, they say, who change the world. 3 percenters are the people who like get over something uncurable like cancer. But what the studies show, and I love quoting this, is, but 3 percenters, as they looked at people who like, so why did you, make that decision? And they said, I don't know, I just made the decision. 3 percenters have fear. You have to understand. Just like 97 percenters, it's a simple decision. And I tell you that because I see this happen all the time. People get this far. I believe you are here. You're prayed here. Somehow you belong to be here today.
As I said, validating their actions, meaning validating them because they watched the video to this specific time duration.
To get your life back, but you still have to make the decision. And I believe right now that is just a simple decision for you to do. And I hope you think that I have the answer at this point, but I'll give you one more testimony. This is a Facebook post by Donna. I just got this week, actually, the beginning of the week. 6 months later, here I am, pain-free, prescription-free, 40 pounds of weight loss, which is extraordinary. The easiest I've ever done it. I'm more active now than I have been in 20 years. Then read the yellow below. This changed my life, I should say. I got my life back, because that's what I talk about. So she's quoting me, meaning I should say, like Dr. Pompa, I got my life back. I feel so much better, and my body works the way it was supposed to. Donna, you're a 3 percenter, 100%. Just like you, she made a decision. She watched a training just like this. All right, if you want my help, this is all you have to do. The comprehensive cellular health analysis. I need this first and foremost. I don't want to waste your time. You don't want to obviously waste your time, but the fact of the matter is you will meet with one of my health experts that I train weekly. We want to make sure that we can help you. We want to hear your story, and we want to look upstream to the causes, because that's one of the big differences of this program is, as you see, we get to the cause, we do it correctly, and we do it in the right place. These doctors that are doing heavy metal detox and all these detoxes, I'm telling you, they cause more harm than good, because they're not doing it at the cellular level and they're not doing it correctly. And it's beyond heavy metals. I haven't even mentioned our evaluation for mold illness. I haven't even mentioned our evaluation for hidden infections, which is another big reason. It's one of the big neurotoxins that people are missing and not doing correctly. So we need to know that. You need to meet with one of my experts. All right, this is the kit that I told you about. Obviously, we want to know if you have inflammation. And this is...
Look at how he did not mention about the $129 value. It's just in the the slide, but he did not talk about it because it's not compliant.
It's an in-home kit. You don't have to send it to any labs. It's so simple. You're going to go over that with our expert as well. All right, so you're going to receive the cellular health analysis. That's a real number, $297 value to that, by the way.
I guess I am wrong in this case, but still, like, this is not compliant, is what I've heard.
And this, the inflammation test is a $99 value. So $400 approximately, $396. I do need one more thing. This is a neurotoxic assessment. I've been coaching, as I said, for 20 years. I know exactly what this looks like. This is it really has all of the symptoms in certain order, so our expert you meet with can look at that and evaluate that with you. So I need you to do this. When you put this all together, you're talking about $495, and that's exactly what my doctor.
Oh, why are we not breaking down? Okay, we talked about the price of inaction. We talked about the what's in the product. We're doing the value stack thing. We're doing the first price tease thing. We're building up the value, right? Um, what else are we doing? Okay.
Doctors charge $495.
I hope like everybody watching this knows about price anchoring these days. Like I feel like that's like a norm. Everybody like every person walking on the street knows about that.
I'm making it easier because I want you to move forward. You get all of it for $167. If you can't make that decision after all that value, then maybe you're not in the right place. 3%er, just make the decision. But I want you to leave with this. This is my favorite part. This is a saying, Rak Kazakamatz. Those are Hebrew words that in the Bible are simply translated in English, be strong and courageous. But the Hebrew is so much stronger than that. Every time somebody or even the country of Israel was about to step into a promise, or anybody for that matter, even Solomon, God would speak Rak Kazakamatz through somebody, which really meant that I know you're fearful, because as Israel, as an example, as they crossed the Jordan, all they saw was 31 armies. All they saw was reasons not to step in the exact promise that God had for them. And they were focused on their fear. But God, through Joshua, spoke Rak Kazakamatz, Israel. What it really means is, I've got it. I've beat back the enemy. Every fear you have, I've got it. It's not your strength, it's my strength. So I speak Rak Kazakamatz to you, meaning that I believe God has a promise of healing for you. You wouldn't be here this far if it weren't true. All you have to do is step into it. Rak Kazakamatz. Click the button, meet with the experts. That simple. See you there.
Okay, so I feel like there's a lot of things that could be worked on. Of course, like you don't have to incorporate all of these elements to it, but you could. He did a like crossroad type of thing with this, Rakuzakama and the whole 3%er thing. The crossroad close acted as one, but you have to get creative with it. Of course, you cannot say there are two ways: walk away with bad, uh, do it this way. No, like it's a principle it's a good structure, right? The whole crossroad close and all this, like the sales principles and psychology and tactics, but you need to get creative with this. As I said, it tactics saturate, offers saturate. What remains is the principle, and you need to be smarter with it. You need to be creative with it. You need to adapt to the new changes. And I believe they try to do that, but I still feel like they could incorporate a lot of other of these, like these elements, right? You're gonna get this like, yeah, they spent 1.6 mil on this, but like there was not a solid tangible takeaway, right? Maybe like it appeals to the ideal prospect, but what am I actually getting? Hmm. Now let's go through the CDA. Yeah, so okay, so there's not much to this. Buy another test for family total 497. That's not bad for a front end product. This is probably a front end product, meaning like people are gonna buy this and they're gonna get upsold into something else after they buy it, meaning they're gonna the bump up the order. Okay, so I feel like there was not like something tangible. I feel like that could have been worked on, like something solid. Yeah, I like the whole, cell inflammation. And yes, if it was a supplement, it would be a different thing. But it was like a toolkit. Now, what does the I feel like what the toolkit actually is? Like, how are you actually gonna like? How are you using this? How are you gonna use like? He should have at least like mentioned it, or showed how it should work, right? I feel like there's a lot of things that could have been done in this space for or that at least like you could have handled the objection, right? Like what it is, how to use it, and like what's gonna happen on the next page. The purchase is like purchase it, how like is it gonna come, like when are they gonna be getting it, and how long would they have to wait for it to finally arrive, and stuff like that. Is it online, is it offline? I was not even able to know that. So there were like a lot of objections, and I feel like the the offer section, the offer part is kind of rushed, in my opinion. Other than that, I feel like the VSL is solid. That's about it. I believe like yeah, they did a good job of with the the analogies type analysis, right? And the mechanisms and good value, good expertise throughout. But I feel like there could have been much more sales emphasis. Maybe like it's because of the compliance issues. That could be the case. That could not be the case as well. But uh, regardless, I think it could have been improved. Now all in all, that's it. That's all there is for the video. Now, yeah, I'm getting kind of lazy with this one. So I'm gonna put this doc into our, daily dose of swipe type thing. But anyways, yeah, that was the VSL where you have like $1.6 million spent on it. I hope you got some value out of it, and hope I'll see you on the next one. Today we had like a 2 hour breakdown. I don't think I'm gonna be uploading daily from here on out. Even if I do, it's gonna be like a short one, 10-12 minute. Why it is what it is, yeah, rather than the actual, because yeah, you have to do the bare minimum. But if I like keep on spending this amount of time into this, I won't be able to focus on my stuff, right? Not saying that not implying that I'm not, breaking down ads and learning and keeping myself at the top of the game is not like an important thing to do, which is, but all in all, yeah, I don't think I have the same amount of time I did, back when I was doing all these videos. So yeah, I'm gonna probably meet you on the next one, 2 or 3 days from now. I hope you got some value out of it. I don't even know somebody's watching this like a 2 hour long ass video. I hope it was valuable, and I'll meet you on the next one.